Hello and welcome to Williams. Oh, I think you can hear me. It's so wonderful to have you all here. My name is Maud Mandel. I'm the 18th president of Williams College, and it is my distinct honor today to welcome you to our community and your students into the learning world that is Williams. I'm joined today by two of my colleagues, Professor Gretchen Long, who is a professor of history and dean of the college, and Leticia Haynes, who's the vice president for institutional equity and diversity. And we're each going to just make a couple of comments today, and then if you have any questions, there's actually another event in here afterwards, so we're going to step outside and we'll be available. We've learned in these early days that most questions are pretty specific, and so if there are things that you are interested in that are relevant to you and your family, we can stick around for a few minutes to answer those questions. First, though, I'm going to just make a few remarks to welcome you and orient you to the campus in the year ahead, as are my colleagues. Quick question about sound. Are you hearing me okay in the back? It's a little echoey up here, so okay. I just wanted to make sure it was okay. This is my 6th year at Williams, and I'm really happy to report that this is a wonderful place, full of exceptional faculty, committed alumni, dedicated staff, first-class facilities, and I think probably most importantly, the thing you already know, amazing students, all of whom come together in beautiful Williamstown. It's like this every day of the year, all year round. I know you know that to be true. And so I'll start just with the good news. You're in for a good ride. This is going to be a great experience for you and your family. Let me start with a question. So to the parents in the room, how many of you, is this the first child you're sending off to college? Wow, nice representation there. Lots of emotions, I know. I can empathize. My son graduated from different college a year ago, and my daughter's off to yet another institution as a sophomore this year. In fact, last year, I was sitting in an audience like this listening to the president of that institution, and I'm like, really? So I listened to everything he had to say. So I can say I know it doesn't get it, from my own experience, it doesn't get any easier to do this, even though I've been through it before, sending them off. We're excited for them. We're nervous for them. How many of you are going to be empty nesters as a result of this? Oh, and and some of you, that's the same, right? If you have one kid. So I really do know some of what you're going through. I've been an educator for over 20 years now, pushing to 30. And for the longest time at this time of year, I really most identified with the students who are just starting out on their educational adventure, alive to all the possibilities in front of them, even a little jealous of everything that they had in front of them, knowing how exciting it could be. But as I get older and my own children age, I increasingly identify with the parents. And I know that many of you are not looking forward to the moment of saying goodbye, even if you're feeling really excited for the students that you're leaving here. You might also be feeling a little nervous, maybe a little overprotective. You may wonder, are they going to get the nurturing and support they need to flourish far away from their families and friends? So my primary message today is rest assured that the young person you're leaving here in Williamstown is at the beginning of a grand personal and intellectual adventure, and that they'll be in good hands here. Of course, over the years, there's going to be highs and there's going to be lows, just like it's always sunny in Williamstown. Everybody's happy every single day, and there are never any problems. So as you know, there's sometimes rain. There will be days, of course, that don't go as planned or hoped. There are moments when they'll be the happiest and most energized you have ever seen them. And perhaps other moments where they're yearning for home and counting down the minutes to get back into the TLC of family. Either way, their 4 years here will be formative in the most crucial of ways. They're going to expand their minds. They're going to meet people who challenge their inherited assumptions and who they are and about how the world operates. They're going to make lifelong friendships. They're going to sharpen their analytic capacities, their ability to solve problems and to express themselves. And they're going to become more independent and able to fend for themselves. And I can actually guarantee that all of these things will happen. And I can guarantee it because this is an extraordinary institution driven by some core values that we really wind into everything that we do. First and most importantly, at Williams, we believe that the most versatile, practical, note that word, practical, and enduring education that we can offer students is a liberal arts education. We seek to inspire creativity and imagination, openness and empathy, intellectual curiosity and academic vigor, and self-reflection through the powerful combination of students living and learning together. Secondly, we see students as partners in the process of discovery. Instead of merely consuming lessons, they learn to contribute knowledge in an intimate, supportive environment, developing close intellectual and personal relationships with professors and peers and mentors, learning from and with each other through free inquiry and open exchange of ideas. Third, we place a great emphasis on the learning that takes place outside the classroom as well as the learning that takes place inside the classroom. So we encourage wide participation in and student authorship of the co-curriculum. We used to call that, when I was in college, when many of you were in college, the extracurriculum, the thing that happened outside. But in recent decades, educators have turned to speaking of the co-curriculum, which emphasizes how much learning we know takes place outside the classroom as well as inside the classroom. Students strengthen their mind, body, and spirit by participating in athletics and in the arts, discussions and debates, volunteer service, and other opportunities and organizations, and we very much hope that will be the case for your students as well. Fourth, in all we do, we aim to be an inclusive learning community in which everyone can thrive, students, faculty, and staff. We have concern for and interest in the needs and ideas of other people, and we see it as both the educational and intellectual imperative of Williams that our students carry those values with them throughout their lives. Our deep commitments to caring, collaboration, and dialogue across difference transform how we relate to one another and to the world around us, and is an aspirational aspect of everything we do here. We teach and learn in this way because we believe that such holistic immersion prepares students to make deep connections between ideas and people. By cultivating within students both wisdom and skills that they will need to become responsible contributors to their communities, we aim to prepare our alumni to create opportunities for others through service and leadership in society at large, and to lead fuller and more impactful lives. And we achieve these goals by investing in people, including the world-class faculty that is dedicated to modeling excellence through their own path-breaking research and scholarship, while also being dedicated to providing a rigorous education. And also through a talented and committed staff that's supportive of a myriad of academic and non-academic programs. And perhaps most importantly, through that remarkable student body that you know so well, the sheer diversity of which is an education unto itself, as they learn to navigate and talk across difference. And it's really this dynamic mixture, not just the faculty or just the faculty and staff, but the faculty, staff, and students together, this mixture that comes together in really remarkable ways through the core structural commitment of the institution to the educational endeavor. And as I know many of you know, as you studied where to invest the next 4 years of the lives of the young people in your family, that one of the great strengths of this institution is the 7-to-1 student-to-faculty ratio. We do have a dedicated group of educators here who are often well-respected researchers and scholars in their own right, but who are deeply, deeply committed to how your student is going to grow intellectually. And one of the fortunate aspects of my job as president is I sit on the committee that oversees tenure and promotion at the institution. And that means that every year I get to read through all the files of all of the faculty who are moving up through the ranks here. And I also get to see the work that their senior colleagues put into mentoring them as the younger faculty move through the fires of initiation. And I'm really incredibly struck every year, year in and year out, to the attention that is paid here to the craft of teaching, to how faculty teach each other to teach over time, how they evaluate each other, and how they use that to hone their craft, their teaching craft. And indeed, we have a new teaching center here, which was an outgrowth of our strategic planning process, and was something that the faculty were advocating for, which is a center where they can come together to talk about pedagogy and to continue to hone this craft. And I think the fact that faculty wanted this center and participate in it so actively is an indication of how much they care about the undergraduate educational experience. They don't rest on their lawyers. They might rest on their lawyers. Laurels is what I meant to say. They don't rest on their laurels, but in fact, that they are consistently working to better themselves and to integrate new challenges like AI and inclusive teaching and the many things that continue to evolve in the field of teaching. And there's a real payoff to this. In every semester, the college newspaper, The Record, does a survey that records what student thinks about different aspects of Williams College. And all college newspapers do this. It's a not exactly scientific survey, but it is a regular survey that gives us a kind of look into how things are going at the college. And one of the things that's amazing, and I've now, as I said, this is my 6th year here, and every single one of these surveys, semester in and semester out, student satisfaction with the faculty is the number one arena of greatest satisfaction, and it comes in at like 95% every single time. They're not always thrilled with the food, or dare I say it, the administration, but the faculty is consistently and always at the top of that list, and that's what you want in an institution like this. Actually, it's quite amazing. And that's largely why it's so satisfying to teach here. Your students, your children, grandchildren, friends, whoever you're bringing to our campus are curious, engaged, hardworking, and they make learning dynamic, so it is a pleasure to teach them in the classroom. I know this because I've taught them. I'm not teaching this semester, but I've taught here a couple of times. I'm sure I will over the next 4 years again. I am teaching in winter study this year. And it's a great gift of a place like Williams that you can teach your own research and that you yourself can learn as a faculty member from the conversation. After all, faculty are themselves lifelong learners, the very gift and skill that we're trying to promote in our students. And learning from and with them in the classroom is really one of the pleasures in teaching a place like this. So all that's to say we have a collective deep investment in the value of the liberal arts. Just a moment about the liberal arts. I assume you think they're a good thing since you're here and investing in this, but I never tire of an opportunity to talk just a little bit about the importance of this form of education. So the conceit of a liberal arts education is as ambitious in scope as it is entirely unattainable. Bear with me. You're like, wait, what? But bear with me here for a minute. After all, we seek to introduce students to the breadth of human knowledge while also providing them with some depth in an area or two in which they have special interests, and we ask them to do that in 32 courses. So if you think about that, the breadth of human knowledge, some depth of expertise in 32 courses, neither are actually going to be attained. They will neither have the full breadth of human knowledge nor the complete depth of a field. Nevertheless, it is that combination of breadth and depth which captures the great ambition and hubris of our liberal arts education. Because what we seek to do is we seek to introduce everything, a touch, a taste of everything that humans have achieved or not achieved, as the case may be, while pointing out how much there is still left to learn. How important it is to be a lifelong learner, because you can't possibly, in 20 courses, which is essentially the range of electives you can take, you can't possibly learn the breadth of human knowledge. Likewise, you major, you take 10 classes, that introduces you to the concept of what it takes to become an expert in something, but it doesn't make you an expert in that thing. It actually teaches you how, in a sense, what else you would need to know in order to become an expert. So it introduces you to the concept of the breadth of human knowledge and the depth of what it takes to become an expert without actually completing either of those processes. Why? Why do we do all of that? What is it? What is the goal? It sounds, even as I describe it, like, isn't that just mere dabbling, lightly touching without really getting anywhere? What is it all about? And I think I'll answer this as a story I tell every year about my own education, but I think it captures it. I went to a small liberal arts college in Ohio, Oberlin College, and I was an English major. See, Oberlin represent. And I was an English major, and anybody representing out there, any English majors out there? Very nice, thank you. And as part of my English major requirements, I had to take a course on pre-modern, the sort of earlier histories than a lot of what my courses were on. And to fulfill that, I took the open course available that semester, which was a course on Milton, which I didn't want to take and wasn't curious about and didn't have any interest in, but I had to take it. And I spent 14 weeks reading all of this work by Milton and criticisms of Milton, and I learned a lot. I, of course, became curious with that kind of immersion, so I learned a lot. But I had this realization, and it's one of the biggest lessons I took out of my college education, which was not actually about Milton specifically. I couldn't actually tell you much about that anymore. I don't remember much of the specifics. That's often the case. But what I can tell you I came away with was this recognition of, after all those weeks of studying Milton and reading what other people had to say about Milton, I had barely scratched the surface of either the complete works of Milton or everything that had been written about him. There was so much more to learn. And in the face of that recognition, I realized how much I had to learn and how to be humble in the face of what I didn't know and what it takes to be an expert in something. That lesson in humility is the lesson that the liberal arts seeks to teach, to empower our students to go forth afterwards and say, what else do I have to learn? What else don't I know? Ideally, who might know more than me, who I can learn from and listen to and engage with and ask questions about? And that's really ultimately the heart of a liberal arts education, and the one I hope that we do impart to our students. So I actually have one wish, only one actually, for your students, which is that they learn to be humble in the face of what they don't know, empowering them to become lifelong learners in the journey here and after they leave here. So I do have a few other goals, though, even though I said only one. I do hope that they develop competencies in key areas they take with them no matter where they go. Writing, research, problem solving, data analysis, communications, the core competencies that cross professional endeavors, and that they can learn no matter what courses they take there. And I also hope they learn to follow their own instincts while they test their assumptions and challenge themselves to go above and beyond what they thought was possible. And I really hope they learn to back up their claims with evidence. I hope they learn the difference between opinion and knowledge, and that they learn to back up their opinions by doing the research they need so that they have the evidence they need to move forward their own learning and knowledge. And what I hope you will do is I hope you will encourage them to embrace the independence Williams offers to them and to strike out on their own. I hope you will encourage them to take intellectual risks, and I hope you will let them solve their own problems. This is a hard one for parents, but I encourage you at this point in their lives, if you haven't already started to practice this skill yourself, and I'm speaking from experience, so just know I know how hard it is, but to let them go forth and trip if they do, and figure out who they need to talk to help solve the problems they're facing. You'll be surprised, I hope, by the results, and I do really hope you'll be pleased. Sometimes you might also be frustrated as your children opt not to take your advice or do what you think they should do about this or that thing. And I do hope that you'll be understanding and accepting, as hard as that may be sometimes, particularly if they come back thinking things that you disagree with and you're used to them not. Maybe some of them are well practiced in disagreeing with you, so no problem. But for those that come back, having followed their own path, I hope you'll be patient with that as they figure out their own path and their own adventure. I think if you do this, you'll see that they're taking full advantage of all that this amazing institution has to offer. I've spent a lot of time talking about learning in the classroom. Just another word about learning outside the classroom. As I noted earlier on, one of the great sources of education on this campus is what students learn from each other. This is an exceptionally diverse campus across every dimension: ethnicity and race, nationality and class, sexual orientation, parts of the United States, abroad, etc. That is itself an incredible source of learning for our students. And there is ongoing sort of daily exchange in dormitories, in classrooms, in the dining halls, on the athletic fields, in the theaters, wherever, in the art studios, wherever they're engaging with people from a huge range of backgrounds. And that can be very powerful. I would urge you not to be misled by what you read in the news. Campuses are actually, I believe, among the places where the most robust conversations across difference are taking place. It doesn't always go well, no surprise. Sometimes it hits the news. But actually, because we are so diverse, it's not surprising that at times that can be a complicated conversation and can lead to voluble exchanges, but it is actually one of the biggest, I think, sources of learning that takes place here. And it provides an opportunity to think about how we speak to each other and how we learn to listen to each other across those differences. We do aspire to be a campus that supports the widest possible exchange of ideas and to support those from every background to feel supported in expressing those views. And that's what makes it so wonderful to study and work here. So in closing, just a question about your role over the next 4 years in this adventure. Please encourage your children to ask for help. Most of our successful students, our most successful students are the ones that have figured out how to use the incredibly large number of resources available to them. And there are many, and my colleagues are going to speak about some of them. Please encourage them to take intellectual risks and leaps. Ask them to reach out to the grown-ups here, to the faculty, to the staff, to me. They can get lots of advice from people who have been through it and been through it with other students, and who are folks who are here committed to their well-being. Please urge them to have fun and to take care of themselves, to sleep, to exercise, to remember that learning is actually not something to check off a box or only to feel excruciating pain over, but actually is a joy, and to find some of the joy that comes from learning. And lastly, and I say this every year, so if any of you have dropped off students here before, you know my parting word to advice to parents, which I have been giving for years, and it comes from a story that my mother told me when she dropped me off in college. She left me at Oberlin, and she got in the car, and she drove home to Princeton, where I grew up, and she went up to my bedroom, and she played the music box that she used to play for me when she would put me to bed when I was a little kid. My advice? Don't do that. Bad idea. Don't do that. Go to the movies. That's my advice. Thank you. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gretchen Long. I'm the Dean of the College here at Williams, and I'm also a faculty member in the History Department. Yeah, definitely go to the movies, though it's too nice a day even to do that. And I want to welcome you. You've been welcomed, I know, probably, I hope, already today, but really, I'm so pleased to see you here, and I'm even a little more pleased to see the people you brought with you and to get this year going. I know that you're probably full of hope and excitement, fear, nervousness. It's a weird, complicated day. The day you say goodbye to your child or your grandchild or your sibling or the young person who you've nurtured and brought along. And we have all those relationships in this room today. So, and I've been through it myself more than once. It's a weird day. It's happy and sad. And, you know, I remember saying, just remember, like, to fold your clothes. Like, I felt like I was trying to pack in, like, 18 years of parenting and in 5 minutes of, you know, you never really learned how to, you know, it's too late. So, but it's, you know, it's not all going to be perfect, but this day is going to be good, and their 4 years are going to be good. I'd like to thank you for sending us and trusting us with your wonderful, wonderful young people. And we know how much love and patience has gotten them and you to this point, and we're thrilled to have them here and looking forward to getting to know them all. So, I'm going to be a little more brass tack-ish in this talk. And so I'll start with, you might wonder, what's your kid doing right now? Right now. So I will tell you. I will tell you what they are supposed to be doing. They are supposed to be, and I trust that they are, settling into their entries with their roommates and suite mates. They're probably feeling a little nervous, like I am, and maybe you are. That's totally fine. They're meeting each other. They're introverts, they're extroverts, they're artists and athletes, et cetera, et cetera. They're from around this country and across the globe, are all here and in these hours trying to learn names and all of that. They're JAs, who are upper class students, have been very thoroughly and well trained by professionals on this campus to help make these few days and indeed their whole year a success. So right now they're probably playing some silly games and some icebreakers and trying to just calm everyone down. And everyone's like, oh, you know, who's going to be my friend and who's not and who's that and my shoes are wrong or whatever. But it's all going to be okay. So we know, I want to butter you up a little bit more, that the students come here and, you know, we see it in our classrooms and in our interactions with them with such richness of character and interesting backgrounds and things that they've done that I hadn't even thought of doing when I was their age, or obstacles that they've overcome that are really just remarkable and amazing plans for the future. They also bring with them deep connections to you all and to their homes where they come from. And your experiences and traditions make their way through your kids or your people to our community. And we're really, really grateful to that, because your values help build the values of our campus. And that's a good thing. So I want to talk a little bit now in a more concrete way about challenges or troubles or what to do if something is not right, okay? And the first thing I'll say is the phone number for campus safety and security. That number is 413-597-4444, okay? Our campus safety department, which is on the basement of Hopkins Hall, is always open. It is open all night long. It is open 24 hours a day. There's always someone there on dispatch. And that number is a good number for your students to know, and I'm not saying anything that they're not hearing now. The officers there, they try to be as friendly and approachable as they can be. They get to know a lot of students by name. Many of them have kids around this age. Many of them have sent kids off to college. Some of their kids have gone to this college. And they're a wonderful resource when things are not going right. Already today, like, what are they doing today, campus safety? Well, already today, more than one student has locked themselves out of their room. Okay, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's more than one. So that is, not a wake me up in the middle of the night emergency, but not call mom, I'm locked out of my room, but call campus safety, because campus safety can let you into your room. Mom can't. That I know of. But they, seriously, in a real emergency, they are always the first right call. The dispatchers can find emergency health service, psychological services, deans, they can find me day and night. Not if your Amazon package hasn't arrived, but if there's blood or fire or breakdown or things like that, that is when they should call campus safety. And it's true for students, and it's also true for you. If you are truly worried that something has gone wrong, that your child might not be safe or is too, if you have that feeling, you can call that number too, 597. You got it. That's the number. We have had to do wellness checks and health checks for students, so we don't want to do it all the time, but if you are truly, truly worried, you can call that number and speak with the dispatcher there. We have a health center. It's down the bottom of Spring Street. They take appointments. The students sign up online. There's no billing or insurance for those appointments. Those are free. They also have some walk-in hours. We have nurse practitioners and nurses who work there, and we have doctors of different specialties who come in weekly if they need to see a doctor. We also liaise with local hospitals, and there's urgent care just over the town line in North Adams. So that's that part of it. If you have particular concerns, you can call or email the staff at the health center. That's on the college website. And students can, if they have an ongoing or chronic issue, I really encourage them to make an appointment and get set up with someone so that the health center knows what's going on. If they're going to need sort of continued treatment or monitoring, they're used to having those phone calls and appointments. There's also an off hours number. When the health center is closed, they can talk to a nurse and do some triage, and campus safety is involved with that too. We have our Center for Integrative Wellbeing, which is our mental health kind of nexus. We have counselors. Some appointments are in person, some are over like Zoom because we need privacy. We don't have quite enough rooms. Those are also free, those appointments. Some students get ongoing care there. We have a psychiatrist who comes in and consults with students who might be thinking about medication, either starting it or stopping it or adjusting it. And they do walk-in appointments too, and they even have sort of short-term, I love these kind of like 20-minute appointments. Like, you don't want to go into therapy, but you just want someone to read through these terrible comments you got back on paper, or your dog died at home, and like they can have sort of targeted therapy sessions that aren't ongoing. And there's a host of other people who can help with those things too, deans and chaplains and Leticia's team. There's a lot of adults waiting to support students when the day hasn't gone quite like we would like. I want to talk a little bit about academics. Now, Williams is a highly selective college, as you know, and your students have done exceptionally well in high school, and we're so happy to have them here. But we all know college can be a little bit of a step up in what you're expected to do and complete and read and write and compute and think outside the box. And Maud alluded to this, but I'll just emphasize a lot of our first-year students haven't ever really reached out for extra help. That is not the path they've been on, and it's it's not really extra help here. Please remind your students to use the resources we have, the faculty they see every day. We expect it to be hard. If they're taking the right classes, it should be challenging. And if you're going to come to a school in a beautiful place, but far from people, far from the world, please get to know us. Use the people that are here. And faculty, we love to talk about our subject. So just, office hours are student hours. Go to them. If you feel that they are really struggling, I can't tell you how badly they should just go see the professor. I'm faculty myself, as I said, and we enjoy students, but also there are other academic resources outside the classroom. We have a writing skills workshop. The director of that, Julia Manemo, is giving a talk in a few days on writing your first college paper. She used to do like small sessions. We made the room bigger and bigger, and now I think it's going to be in here. There's a quantitative resource center. There are workshops on study skills, time management, all sorts of things. I also would encourage students just to take advantage of workshops and opportunities with volunteering in our local community. It's a wonderful way to get to know, and something to get paid for it, to get to know people of different ages, just to sort of latch into the place where you are. And even though your people are just first years, it would be great if they step into the fellowships and study away office. Make an appointment. Think about maybe going away to our Mystic program or going abroad your junior year. There are lots of fellowships that fund summer work or projects that it's not too early to start thinking about those. So stop in, make an appointment. It's a friendly staff. One thing that we're teaching is independence. We want our kids to be resilient and independent, and we know that that's just integral, right, to growth. But we want to help. One change from high school, most of the students are over 18, and they own their information now. So if you call me up, I'm not going to be able to tell you if they went to chemistry class or if they wrote their history midterm or if they ate breakfast that day or if they've been to the health center for contraception. I can't say, first of all, I don't know. And even if I did know, I wouldn't tell you because federal law restricts that information. So really, we encourage them to confide in you, but they don't always. But please rest assured, if there's a major problem, something involving their well-being, you will hear from us. But we do encourage, they are the best people to talk to you and to start to reach out to find the right people to solve their problems. Grappling with choices is part of being this age. I'm sure I'm not the only one, and when I look back to when I was 18 or 19, I did some things that were really great. I did some things that maybe weren't so great. That's part of it. If there's anyone here who didn't make a bad decision when they're 18, wow. That's impressive. Maybe you're living too safe. But we hope that the bad decisions won't be too bad and won't have real bad consequences, and that the good decisions will open up just whole new worlds for them, be they intellectual or social. It's a terrific start that they're having. I'm not going to tell a story about a music box, but I'll just wind down with a stanza of a poem, one of those pre-modern British writers, Maud. This is William Blake, written in 1794, but it works for today too. My mother groaned, my father wept, into the dangerous world I leapt, helpless, naked, piping loud, like a fiend hid in a cloud. Okay, so today's not as bad as all that, but I think a fiend hid in a cloud is a great description of a newborn baby or a late adolescent, and they have more in common, I think, than we like to admit, those two stages of life. So I would say, off you go. We've got one more speaker, of course, but I can't tell you everything. Every day is going to be fine, but I can tell you that you and your family are off to just a great start. Every day won't be perfect, but we're going to have many, many more good than bad, and I can't wait to get to know your kids. So safe travels home, and my colleague Leticia.
Hi, good afternoon. Welcome parents, guardians, families, friends of the wonderful students who are here with us and have just joined the Williams community. Again, my name is Leticia Smith-Evans-Haynes. I am Vice President for Institutional Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I'm also a proud alumna of Williams College, and this is my 9th year in this role. I've had the privilege, of course, then of welcoming many families and many students over the years. I'll just say that Williams has been a place at which we think about where we've been, where we are, where we're headed, and where we want to be. And all members of the community actually stop and reflect. What's working well? What should we change? I knew that before I came back because I was a pretty active alumna. I was working as a teacher, a lawyer, policy advisor, doing a number of things. And then I had the opportunity to return, and I didn't hesitate to do so. I really wanted to give back to the Williams community. It's a place where everyone, regardless of who they are, can actually thrive as they're living, learning, and working. In terms of my role as vice president, I work strategically with all community constituents off campus, on campus, abroad, including students, faculty, staff, alums, to ensure that this place is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. And I lead a team of faculty and staff in doing that work. We help guide efforts to conceptualize, define, assess, nurture, and cultivate diversity as an institutional and educational resource and priority. Every person in the office works to ensure that all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender identity, religion, sexual orientation, economic, ability status, the list goes on, have meaningful access to all of the resources that this college actually has to offer. And we engage the college community as we aspire to support robust, healthy, and productive communication. And I'll just give you a few examples of some of the things that my team do. So they lead the Davis Center, and in partnership with students, faculty, staff, alumni, and off-campus communities, the Davis Center strives to facilitate collaboration, dialogue, and explorations for social change. And doing so, they aspire to create an inclusive environment for learning, living, and community. Then we have the Office of Pathways for Inclusive Excellence, which aims to ensure that students thrive academically, not only at Williams, but beyond, through opportunities and programs such as research fellowships, and they work to eradicate both economic and racial, for example, disparities in higher education. In addition, that office serves to connect students to academic and research opportunities off campus. We also, I just want to say a word about dialogue. We help to support and encourage productive communication. We're diligent about fostering both inter and intra-group dialogue, integrating restorative practices, which are 90% actually proactive and not in response to allegations of harm. And we do that to help resolve conflict proactively as it arises. And these efforts really center appreciation for individuals' identities and how they affect the experiences that they have. We also have a robust suite of educational opportunities and workshops that we deliver for campus constituents and also surrounding communities. And our community engagement fellows who are students actually are involved in both the development and collaborators, as collaborators, and also in the delivery of those workshops as students and peer educators. I just wanted to circle back to the Davis Center. You may have been on Spring Street, which is pretty much the only street that we have, and notice the construction on the right-hand side if you're walking this way. And that's actually the Davis Center. So we're so proud that we have a new building project, which this community has gotten behind and mobilized. And thanks to Maud, we're able to move forward in our Board of Trustees. That's actually going to be opening early in the new calendar year. So it will be a space in place for all of your students and every member of this community where they can gather, come together, and learn, partner, and collaborate. Just wanted to circle back and make sure you know that we will support all members of this community in whatever way necessary and possible. whatever way that's possible. We recognize, of course, that there are many different members of this community and different types of people who make up this community. So have no doubt that if your child needs anything at any point, our doors are open, our inboxes are open, our phones are always on. They're never on silent, except for right now. But I checked it a couple times to make sure there are no emergencies. But really, in the most wonderful Williams way, everyone here works closely together and diligently to ensure that our students have the most optimal experience possible. Throughout their tenure here, we know that they're going to engage in critical discourse, thoughtful discourse, and respectful discourse. And there's no question that some of that discourse will definitely engage and touch on issues and matters of diversity, equity, inclusion, social justice. And everyone is not going to agree. I think you heard all of us say that. But I must say we're intentional about encouraging, engaging, and supporting all. We don't have everything figured out, but we acknowledge that, we admit that, and we ask questions. What do you need? Can we help you? How are you feeling? Are you enjoying your time in and out of the classroom? We engage the members of our community and work hard to make sure everyone here is included. So doing that means that we develop programs and coordinate curricular, co-curricular activities to be more diverse and inclusive. And as we do that, we have his story, her story, their story as very, very powerful guides. And you all may know that during the first 175 years or so of its existence, there were no women on this campus. When women arrived in the 1970s, there were very few of them, and then there were very, very few students of color, first-generation students, the list goes on. But today, Williams actually embraces very strategic efforts to ensure that its learning environments are diverse with students, faculty, and staff of different races, ethnicities, religions, genders, socioeconomic status, to just name a few. And as I close, I want to make sure you know that I do not assume that we all sitting in this room share the same understanding and definition of diversity. But when I say diversity, know that Williams strives for identity diversity, what one may look like, and cognitive diversity, how one may think. At Williams, we believe that diversity and exceptional go hand in hand. A great school requires exceptional people, perspectives, and problem solving. A great school benefits from including people with diverse perspectives, and differences in identity, race, gender, gender identity, ethnicity, religion, physical ability, sexual orientation, economic status, all correlate with cognitive diversity. So over the coming weeks, as the first year class joins this community, it comes to life. The people behind the papers, the essays, the applications are now here, and they are part of this family. Their presence will be seen and felt on campus and off campus and in our communities. We know that each member of this class is unique and brings with them diversity in thought and being, and for that, we're extremely, extremely grateful to them and also to you. So once again, welcome to Williams. I hope you enjoy your, sounds like brief visit, but we hope that you'll come back again soon, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Leticia. Thanks, everyone. So this concludes our program. There is a program in here in 10 minutes at 2:30. So we're going to go outside. If you do want to chat with us, just wait till we get out there so that we clear out this space. And I just will use this last minute to welcome you and say how happy we are to have you here. Enjoy yourselves.